All right, guys. Um, so we're continuing our how to say expedition into the depths of the web, um, of JavaScript and HTML and CSS. So um, initially, we started off this project, right, just to catch everybody up, um, with a lot of with just a section of about like 5 to 8 probably. We just really started off with asking ChatGPT what we would have to do for big, right? What projects would you have to get that by doing these projects by default you would be able to understand this, right? Now that's how we got this response and these five main projects. However, for beginners, we did the exact same thing for the first. We made a first video, and then we made this exact same question we did for the for this first project, and we got this response. We got a bunch of projects that we have to do. By doing them, we'll be on the level of understanding what's written in here, and then we did more sequence projects that by doing all these projects by default we will understand what's going on in these other prerequisite projects. So as a default finishing all of this, we'll be by default be able to understand this piece of code over here. Um, and if you haven't seen it, um, it's pretty cool. Um, it's what's it called? This project right here. Um, and you can click it, delete it. Um, you have a bunch of stuff. Click it, it deletes it. So it has some functionality inside of it. So we're working backwards, right? We got the project. Now we're trying to figure out what projects we would have to do by doing them that we would be able to understand this. And we're constantly trying to refocus on this concept at the beginning of the video, just to give you guys an idea. Once again, if you're new, um, what's going on? Um, and we're trying to what's it called? We've been doing a bunch of cool projects that when you do them, what's it called? You you're able to have some functionality, and now we did get more projects over here. So what happened was we started to what's it called? Dive into something called scope. Um, and okay. So um and we got this seventh um project over here. So it was giving us what it means functions and scope. So it was saying that we have if we call a city inside the scope of a function, um you're able to what's it called? Um you're able to access the name in the parameter. And if you declare the function outside of the function, also you can use the variable inside the function. Um, let's just show you guys real quick. So you see this is inside. This is also 6. This is the one we actually probably abandoned. 6. Actually, no, this is the one we finished. So we did 6. 6 also function greet name. which is interesting. Um, why it's inside here. However, that's what it is inside the function. So it's inside the scope of the function, and it's being passed into the function, which is kind of interesting because we'll try to see what's going on. Maybe if this has to do anything with hoisting. So it gave us some concepts of hoisting to try to see if what's it called. We want to do any of the stuff there. Um, and we asked it to give us what's it called projects that once we do them, we'll understand hoisting. Um, uh, um, let's see. Just to make sure we end off right spot. Oops. Um, awesome. You're diving into how parameters type of and yeah. To fully understand this concept that function arguments and var declarations live in the same function scope. Okay, yeah, so this is the one we finished. Parameters are available in parameters are available inside the whole function. So get this minus sign parameters um okay, yeah, cut this guy out. All right. Parameters are available inside the whole function. Parameters are available inside the whole function. Um, so let's kind of ask it real quick. Um, ChatGPT. Um, what does it mean that parameters are available inside the whole function? What does it mean that parameters are available inside the whole function in this? What the chat GPT said. All right, great question. Let's break it down. Parameters are available inside the whole function means when you define a function like this, function name, the parameter is automatically declared and available anywhere inside. Yeah. Why is this important? Um, so okay, it's available inside the whole function. Yes. However, it's available inside the whole function. Yes. However, how does this statement apply though when you declare a variable inside the function though and have it also as an an function though and also have the name of the variable inside as a parameter also like function greet name name console.log uh Okay. Name equals Bob. Um, Name equals Bob. Var name equals Bob. Console.log name. Excellent. Now you're digging into name collisions between function and parameters. Name collisions. It's very interesting. Between functions and parameters and variable declarations of function. Let's walk through your code step by step. Function. Greet name. Var name equals Bob. Console.log name. Greet Alice. Okay. Uh, that's interesting. What now? Name is a parameter, and the function is called with greet Alice. JavaScript assigns Alice to a name parameter. At this point, name equals Alice. Inside the function var equals Bob. Now I declare it as a function. Okay, that's interesting. How many mini projects that by doing how many mini projects would you have to do that by doing them you would by default learn name collisions we have to do, and what would be the projects also. Amazing mindset. That's exactly what kind of question that leads to real mastery. Project and understanding name collisions. City, David, shooting intro, David. Parameters available throughout the function. Bob, before var, after var. Name collisions. Let's do this. So, let's add this guy. I'm trying to do this. Um, so, let's do this guy. So we're gonna make this guy up over here. Alrighty. Alright. This is good. Alright, so we're gonna do some name collisions. Projects on name collisions. Um Alright. Um let's build a mini project track. Alright. Function. Alright, so we're gonna do a little bit about name collisions. Just to make sure we don't get any name collisions. Uh mini projects. So this is gonna be give this real quick. Um Function greet name. Um, oh no, this is function scope. Function scope. Six and oops. We give this guy a name. We got this guy over here. Oops. Function. Func scope. Global. Oh, wait a minute. It's the other way around. Dang it. Global scope. Func. Function scope. All right, so now we're gonna do another thing called name collisions. Another file is gonna be 8mm.html. We're gonna go on name collisions. HTML. All right. All right. So it's giving us these things as prerequisites. You know, we're trying to get to the essence of the JavaScript. So that's why we're doing this. Um. All right. Let's do this. R HTML script function parameters are available throughout the function. All right. No collision. No collision. Oops. Oops. So, all right. Collision var overwrites the parameter. Global use name as for parameter. Okay, that's the second project. All right, so we're gonna do today project one, and if God's help, we're gonna do more. All right. So compare parameter versus var. No collisions. No collision. Go. See what happens when a parameter and var names are different. When a parameter and var names are different. Okay, so function. We got function intro intro name. So this is a name. Then we're gonna do this parameter var city equals. All right. Console. Okay, so we're gonna put this up into the body again. So p id equals paragraph. Um, button. Press this. So we're telling the button A. Um, write this, and the button's telling the person press this on click equals intro intro with this guy function. All right, function. intro, intro.name, paragraph. So when you click this, the guy, you see this thing, it says press this on the page. It's gonna say city, Jerusalem. What's gonna happen? So it's gonna be document dot get element by ID. Oh, sorry. It's gonna be the paragraph. Paragraph. And what's gonna be dot inner text. Inner text equals. Okay, so this is where we're gonna use this guy. City probably. This is what the guy's heading. All right, so console log. See what happens when a parameter and a var names are different. Okay, so the parameter is different. This is gonna give you equals city, var city equals Jerusalem, Jerusalem. It's gonna give you the city. Press this thing, so it's supposed to give you a city. All right, so let's see what happens. Intro. Okay, already gives you. Let's see if this works. Oops. All right, so we got this guy. Uh, 8. Okay, we got 8 mm. And this is gonna be what's it called? Name. Press this. Okay, so yeah, passes through. All right, so seemingly there's no name collision. There's no collision over here. Function intro Jerusalem. Jerusalem. All right. Yeah, excuse me. All right. Document get element by ID. Inner dot city. Um, okay. So function. Then you imagine you write okay console log name intro David console log name is from city. Oh, okay, that's cool. Just out of curiosity, though, let's see what ChatGPT says real quick. Oops. Out. Oops. Out of curiosity, why is it that when you click the button, it doesn't require you to pass a parameter and just gives you the output of the city in the paragraph like this. Oops. Why is it that when you click the button, it doesn't require you to pass a parameter and just gives you the output of the city in the paragraph like this? Yeah. Parameter like this. though. Quick curiosity. Why does this work even though the intro name expects a parameter but nothing is passed when the button's clicked? Sure, it doesn't care if a parameter is declared but not passed. If you don't provide a value for name, it just becomes undefined. So this name is undefined, but we don't use it anyway. Totally valid if you try to use name. It's actually happening. You declared the parameter, but you never used it inside the function. The function always sets city equals Jerusalem and displays it. Function always sets city and displays it. So whatever you pass David or nothing, the outcome is still the same. You could prove it by logging. If you call by logging, function intro name is equal to, so name, you declare a parameter, shows undefined, console log, was name undefined, var city equals Jerusalem, x equals inner city. That's interesting. Let's see how about showing projects to do that. By doing them, you would understand by default. You would understand by default this as a default. How about showing what basic projects you would have to do that by doing them you would understand by default this concept as a default concept default of doing the project though. Absolutely. This is exactly the way to learn. What basic projects do we have to do? We're doing how function with parameters. Not how function works with parameters though. How how concept of how um parameters don't give you an error and doesn't make sense. I get you. You're asking how parameters work. Why does it go? You're not asking how parameters work. You're asking why doesn't JavaScript throw an error when a parameter is declared but nothing is passed in? And for many projects, well, you need to understand that concept by default by doing them. Let's break it down. JavaScript's parameters are optional. Okay. Functions, parameters are optional. And what is this concept called, by the way? Alright, so we got this thing called name collisions, function scope. Um, that's crazy how much stuff is under functions. Crazy. Um, phone. Get this guy out of here. All right. All right, fine. So, excellent follow up. You want to know what is the official name of this concept? You want to know what is the official name of this concept? Function, aridity versus arguments, arity. When you call it, you can pass any number of arguments, fewer. Arity 2. What is arity? Is this a real thing? Aritas. All right, so we're gonna try doing this thing called function arity. Arity is 0. Logic. Mini project track. Call without parameter. Um, Call with and without parameters. With show fruit. That's interesting. Show parameters. So for this one though, let's see. It's called function arity. So okay. Going on over here? Let's see. All right, so we got our three sequence over here. All right, fine. All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of our parameters. Um, um, just trying to pass through a couple other stuff. How parameters work? Why doesn't just project one? Okay, project one, call without parameters. All right, and okay, call without parameters, call with extra parameters. So we want to, oops. Okay, project two, project three. Okay, project three enforce fire manual. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of crazy, you guys. We're diving into this stuff, trying to manipulate the bytes. All right, so we're gonna jump into this thing really quick. Function global. All right, so first of all, um, we're totally like just ignoring this parameter, which is kind of crazy. We're not really. It doesn't even need a parameter, which is kind of interesting. Function scope. Functions don't require parameters to be don't require parameters if you don't pass them in. Okay, that seems like that is pretty accurate so far. All right, name collisions. Okay, so now we asked what would this concept called? Okay, what is the official name of this concept? Where function when a function parameter is declared, but passing an argument is optional and no error happens. Function arity. Function arity versus arguments. Function arity versus arguments. Flexible arity. Sometimes part of concept lenient function arity. What arity means the number of parameters a function declares. Um, but when you call it, you can pass any number of arguments. Arity is 2. But when you call it, you can pass any number of arguments. Fewer and define fills in. More, the extras are ignored unless you handle them manually. That's that's why you can do this. Let's see. Let's delete these guys. Delete function tests x y um, console log x y. 3 is ignored. That's funny. So lenient function arity. So arity is the number of parameters a function is defined with. Argument. Okay. See, the thing is arity a real thing? All right. So we gotta ask ChatGPT. Would you really call it function arity? How come you don't call it? We call it function arity though? Don't you think that it should be called like lenient function um parameter requirement though, since since parameters are the thing you declare should be passed into the function, and the argument is what you declare should be the value that is passed in the function do. Excuse me. All right, yes, you're thinking like a true computer scientist, and also someone who wants to want names to match the logic of the behavior. Let's pack it. You're absolutely right in saying the thing being declared is a parameter. The thing that is being declared is a parameter, and the thing being passed is an argument. So why do we call it arity when talking about parameters, not arguments? And you're also right that the real concept is about JavaScript not enforcing required parameters. So why not call it something lenient like function parameter requirement? Like lenient function parameter requirement. Why is it technically called function arity? Because arity is a term that refers to a number of parameters not in a function definition. It comes from mathematics and logic, not from how JavaScript handles arguments. In language like Haskell, Lisp, Python, arity is used formally to describe the shape of a function. It's expect it ex, it ex, it's expected inputs. So in JavaScript, in JavaScript, console log demo length 3. That's arity. What the heck? What the heck? What does that even mean? But you're philosophically right too, because what you're describing is lenient parameter enforcement. That's crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Function demo. Wait a minute. Demo that length. Because what you're really describing is lenient console.log x. No, even though x was expected. In strict languages like in Java or C++, this would be an error. But in JavaScript, the parameter is optional by default, and that behavior is what mind blowing to new devs. So to be precise, arity, number of parameters, function, JS, measurable function length. Um, yeah, demo dot length. That's the arity. Arguments, values passed into the function can be fewer or none. Lenient parameter requirement describes how JavaScript lets you skip parameters. Yeah, your turn. That's fine. Measurable. Yes, this is the actual behavior you're mastering. Lenient parameter requirement. Your term is super useful. So when teaching or learning, you could totally say this example of lenient function parameter requirement. Our parameters are defined but not enforced. Okay. And want me to build you a coin term and use it in teaching diagram or teach you. Okay. Yeah. Lenient parameter model, arity versus arguments. Okay, let's see what you got. See what you got. Uh, all right, awesome. Let's see a visual concept here. Cheat sheet concept cheat sheet you could use to fully understand each other's. Uh, function arity, arguments, high linear function parameter requirement, console log. Okay, using defaults to make parameters safe. Um, show item, default pen, expecting arguments. All right, fine. We'll add this thing. Uh, all right. So, um, okay, hold up. Let's see. Okay. Use functions arity. Okay. Has. All right. What? Why is it technically called function arity? Um, use a term. So in JavaScript, languages, arity is used formally to describe the shape of a function, its expected inputs. Also, what did you mean to describe the shape of the function, Lou? All right, good catch. Let's dive into what it means to describe the shape of a function. Talking about arity parameters. What does the name of a shape of function mean? What does the shape of a function mean? When we say the shape of a function, we're referring to how many inputs it takes arity. All right. All right. Look, it looks cool. So we're gonna add it to the what's it called? Uh, to the Magnus Opus. Let's get it. Tab. So we're learning about function arity. Some good stuff. Function, lenient function, requirement, lenient function parameter requirement. Um, you have to be like super, what's it called? Careful with all this text because we don't want this thing to crash. Um, let's see. Look how long it takes to get it all over here. All right, so all right, so um, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff and a lot of phrases. Let's just pray that this is gonna be like the start of the whole thing. Um, you know, let's just pray that this is where you begin. Let's pray that this is the what's it called? Foundational principles of JavaScript. Okay. Why is it technically called functional arity? Because that is a term that refers to the number of parameters in a function definition. Language Haskell, da da da, blah 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 blah. All right, all these definitions. We just want to do the programs. We just want to fix the programs. All right, functionality definition: number of parameters listed in function declaration. Arity equals to da 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 da. You don't really need all this actually. Okay. Lenient function. So right. All right. All right. So we got concept of arity over here. The number of parameters a function has is its arity, which is by length. This is what you get by length. All right. So what is it? It's called arity. Mm. Okay, so we just have this thing. It's called the arity. That's it. We just have to remember it's called arity. It's the amount of functions and lenient uh function. Well, lenient. Well, okay, let's just find this thing. It's called lenient function. Lenient function parameter requirement. So lenient. Lenient. Okay. Lenient. Oh, shoot. So, um, lenient, uh, lenient function parameter requirement. Lenient function parameter is when the uh, lenient function parameter is the when the function when nothing is passed into the function when nothing is passed into a function and there's no error from it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, what's going on? So, so yeah, we're gonna continue with this section over here. So, all right, lenient functions. Function parameter requirement is when the user doesn't pass any arguments into the function, and when the function is called, excuse me, it doesn't return any errors. Okay, linear function parameter requirement. All right, you got function name, city. You declare city being Jerusalem. Text city. You do, and you don't do anything with the name, and all you and then here you do, and yet when you what's it called? Click button intro. Boom, you get city Jerusalem. So this is called lenient function parameter requirement. Name collisions. Now it doesn't seem like there's any name collisions in here because this is what it said in here. Yeah. Collisions. Dang, look how excuse me. Um Alright, here you go. This is our project over here. Goal, there's no naming collisions that happen here. Okay, name is from city. Parameters are available throughout the functions. City. It's really hard to understand what it says here too, because what does it mean parameters are available inside the functions? Maybe it means that what's it called? When you pass something in, it's available inside the function. So so the question was it's available inside the function. At the same time, in here, when you don't name anything, it's because it's lenient functions, lenient parameter, lenient function parameter. Parameters are usually available inside functions or inside functions. However, in this case, where no, nothing gets passed into the parameter, it follows this concept of lenient function parameter requirement, which is when the user does not pass into the function and when the function is called, it doesn't return any errors, just and possibly undefined. Possibly. That's our hypothesis right now. Um, what's going on here? So, all right. So we got this thing over here. Um, function parameter. All right. So we got this guy. No collision. Clean, predictable behavior. Part two. Collision. Var overrides parameter. All right. So let's go. So, um, and all right. All right, you guys. We're on the second project. Let's do this. Um, project two. Var overrides a parameter. Okay, name collision. Var overrides parameter. Goal, use the same name for the parameter and var. Observe what happens. Alright, so function greet name. Console log before var. Name. Var equals Bob. Console log after var. Name. Greet Alice learn parameter gets overwritten by the var value. You're supposed to treat them both as the same variable in the same scope. Alright, so let's see this happen in action. Name collisions. Nine. mini project name collisions .html. All right, so we're gonna do our HTML. We're gonna do paragraph ID, paragraph ID equals paragraph script script. Okay, so we're gonna do function greet name console log before var name. Okay, so we're gonna do document dot get element by ID para sorry paragraph. Okay, equals inner dot text before var before var var this is the port before var before var gets set to Bob plus name the var is var equal var name equals Bob. And then we gotta get this guy ID paragraph ID equals to paragraph Bob. Okay, Bob after var gets set to Bob. The var is Bob. Or let's see what goes on. Let's see what's gonna give us. Or actually, let's see what this happens. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if we do. Okay, this is very interesting. Okay, let's see what happens over here. Excuse me. Name collisions. Alright, we're gonna do 9 name collisions. Oh, nothing gets written. Alright. Document greet name. Okay, sorry. We gotta pass this function. So we're gonna do button on click read. All right, this should be uh, name. Save. All right, let's see this guy in action. var. After the var gets set to Bob, the var is Bob. Okay. And it's apparently, so yeah, this is what it means hoisting. It's gonna be Bob. It's not gonna be anything else. Okay. Let's learn how to do this. Append child real quick. All right, so we're gonna do a little three sequence. I'm gonna do four sequence dot html. All right, four sequence dot html. This is our three sequence HTML. We're gonna do a quick um, learning on how to do append child more better. Um, just to recap, however, we do know how to do this basically. However, let's get a little bit of how to say um, so we're let's get a little bit uh, warmed up. All right. What would be the main basic projects that after doing them you would understand the basics of document dot get actually of append child. Deep understand by doing projects create style element div inner style border append the body append child box append a button on button click. Oh yeah, you gotta create an element. Yeah, that makes sense. Box inner text, box style border. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we want to kind of use this concept. So by the end of the series, with God's help, we will actually what's it called? Um, we will kind of do this. God's help. All right. So project one. Learn, create, and style an element. Um, so yeah, we gotta create an element. Ah, this is crazy. This is on another level. All right, so what we're gonna do is const box equals document dot get element by ID. Um, or actually no, this is document create element div. So we want to create a div, which is so boss that this is what's going on. Then we gotta say, then we're making a box, um, excuse me, inner dot text equals a box dot style dot border equals 1px solid black border. So yeah, it's pretty boss. All right, so inner text inner text is, let's see if this will work. Inner text is name is uh is plus name. Mm, document get element by ID paragraph. So after and variable name var equals Bob. Document get element by ID paragraph. Document get element by ID paragraph. Mm, get element by ID paragraph. Oops. So we gotta append this. Now we gotta append this project to append to body. On click body text. Okay, there you go. Box. So now we're gonna append the box. Okay, then after, so we're gonna do this thing again. Const box equals document dot create element div, a new div. Oops. Oh, two one box. There you go. Actually, box two. All right, so now it didn't seem like there's a collision. Excuse me. Okay. Two box dot inner. Oh shoot. Box two inner text um equals, okay, inner text var plus name. Oops. Okay, fine. After var gets set to Bob, then we want to do box two dot style dot border equals 2px solid black um semicolon, then document dot pen child or body, yeah, body pen child. That was a good one. Body pen child. All right, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Box two. All right, let's see how this works, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this. All right, 999 mm. So Oh, this is boss. Before var gets set to Bob, the var is undefined. After the var gets set to Bob, the var is Bob. Haha. Let's go. Let's go. All right. After var gets set to Bob, the var is Bob. This is boss. You guys, this is much. This is mucho boss. All right. Right. All right. Guys, we are progressing into the future. All right. So really cool stuff over here. Um, Before the var, it's undefined. After the var, it's totally what's it called? Something different. Um, just kind of crazy. Um, so before it's undefined, after it's what's it called? After it's good. Okay. The question is, how come it says hoisting? That's the problem. All right. So this is project three. That's probably why. Okay. Var name is hoisted. So even if the first console log. Okay. So. Oh. Oh. Okay. Gotcha. Var greet Alice name console log bar before var console log after var. All right, let's see what this guy's talking about over here. So before var gets set to Bob, is it different in the console or something? Okay, yeah. What is it? Why does it say it's hoisted? What the heck? The parameter gets overridden by the var declaration and value by the var. JS treats both of the same variable and same scope. All right, let's try to understand younger this younger man. All right, let's get this guy. All right, let's get this guy. All right, new chat. All right, let's see this. Okay, what is the point of saying that it is hoisted? What do you mean? Right question. Let's break it down clearly. You're asking, what's the point of saying var is hoisted, especially in this example? How is it hoisted? Hoisting means the variable like var is moved to the top of the scope, function, or global during the compilation phase. Although the var isn't hoisted. Hoisted, bro. You're absolutely right to. Scam. Um, you're absolutely right to pause there. Advertisements, guys, advertisements. It's crazy. All right, you're absolutely right to pause there. Let's clarify exactly what is and isn't hoisted in this case, because your instinct is solid, and the language around hoisting is often misunderstood. Let's let's absolutely you're absolutely right to pause there. Let's clarify exactly what is and isn't hoisted in this case. Subtle truth. Name, concept of forename. Yeah, it's undefined. After the thing, it gets declared. Console log var name, green Alice. All right. You're thinking, wait, the var isn't hoisted above the parameter. Parameter is there. It's already there. Exactly. That's correct. And here's what really happens. Function, what actually happens step by step. Function parameters and var declarations are both part of the same variable environment. Function parameters and variable declarations, same scope. If they have the same name, the parameter takes priority first. Gotcha. If they have the same name, the priority takes first. But the variable name does not create a new binding. But the variable name does not create a new binding. Instead, it sees that name already exists from the parameter and doing nothing to the declaration. It just exists as a no op declaration. However, the assignment name equals Bob still runs and changes the value. But in your example, you see, um, but in your example, you see undefined. That's weird. We passed Alice, right? No. So why is it undefined? That's interesting. Actual timeline. Behind the scenes, JavaScript internally rewrites this like this: name equals undefined. This is redundant. Var name undefined. Bob. So it is true that var is hoisted because because name is already declared as a parameter. Gotcha. Declares as a parameter. Okay. If name is declared as a parameter though, if name is declared as a parameter though, how is it hoisted if it is the most highest in order of precedence? Huh? Beautiful observation. And yes, you're getting into the depth, uh, into the deep truth here. Let's unpack it step by step. You're absolutely right. The function parameter name takes precedence over a var name. So then, how can we say that var function parameter takes precedence over a var name. So then how can we say var is hoisted if the parameter already exists? Function parameter takes precedence over var name. Here's a deeper answer. The var name is hoisted, but it doesn't win because the parameter already declared name. JavaScript internal rules, variable environment. When a function is created before any line runs, JavaScript builds a variable environment or scope using this order. Parameters declared first, variable var declarations hoisted, but they don't overwrite existing names. Other function level vars and functions are also hoisted. That's why in case of a name conflict, the parameter always wins. The parameter wins the binding, the higher precedence. As you said, the var declaration becomes a no op for declaration. So what's the point of saying var is hoisted? Um, Great challenge. Here's what it means. So what's the point of saying var name is hoisted? Great challenge. Here's what real means. All right, that's crazy. All right, let's try to figure that out. What would be the project of under oops, understanding understanding? What would be the projects that by doing them you would by default understand? What would be the projects that by doing them you would by default understand? You would by default understand this basic project. There be also understanding it. Log a parameter without defining it. Log a parameter without refining it. Here you go. I've created 10 beginner friendly HTML files. Oh man. No, like here, pay. Main. Main. So parameter versus console. Say hi. Okay, function, say name, parameter versus console. Dang it. Parameter versus console. ls. Project 2, var overwrites parameter. Var without a conflict. Dang, that's crazy. Var without conflict. That's crazy how this works. Var without conflict. Var without conflict. Var without conflict. That's crazy. Console log B. This is that example of uh what's that example is called of lenient function parameter requirement. All right. Um, var without conflict test. That's pretty boss. Hoisting alone. What happens? Um, hoisting alone. Console log var x undefined. That is crazy, you guys. This is boss. This is amazing. This is amazing. So it's not like wolves. Like this war. Haha. You're actually onto something deep and true with that. Guess my gens var and bro. Bit like a war. Let's break it down. Who rules the scope? Parameters, they come first, like nobles with official names. They take precedence. They win the name slot first. If someone else tries to declare, they say too late. This guy rules the territory. Deflation. Hoisted. They get hoisted, but if a parameter to the name, they don't override it. Strict rules. They don't get hoisted the same way. They enter a temporal dead zone. If the That's crazy. Crazy, you guys. Crazy. Alright, let's get this. Alright. So because that is what it sounded like when you were saying primary versus console. Exactly, you caught the tone perfectly. That's crazy. It really did sound like a dual announcement in this kernel parameter. That's crazy. This guy's on another level. Light rebels. Okay, that's crazy. All right, you guys. Um, we'll try to include this in the same video. For now, I'm going to take a quick break. However, with God's help, we will return. Uh, turn to you guys with this. Uh, which is kind of crazy. We talked about naming collisions. Um, So we're gonna, what's it called? We're gonna come back and already really good stuff over here. We might maybe even have to make a video where we like, what's it called? Where we, what's it called? Where we actually go over that back and organize everything. All right, well, you guys, God's help, soon we'll organize up, reorganize everything up, and yeah, gonna be some boss. What's it called? Um, gonna reach some monumental actions. Anyway, so you guys, we wish you good success. Um, a um, easy um, understanding of all these concepts, and maybe soon we'll even kind of shorter this whole we'll shorter up this how to say entire series and make it even shorter. However, now, kitty boss, what's going on? Um, some revolutions going on, revolutionary methods, and yeah. Eh, so we're trying to find out the precedence of the things that happen in the functions. Um, anyway, wish you guys good success, and yeah, let's get it. Peace.